where was your attention just now? And who were you giving it to? Because if you were just scrolling about on YouTube, I have no doubt that for the last minutes, maybe hours for some, maybe even days, you were not really here. Sure, you were doing things and scrolling and talking and writing perhaps, all these things, but were you really there? Really fully aware, in control of your attention? I would say for most people, likely not. And even if you're a very, very aware person, for the most part, with how much Instagram we have, how much noise we have, a lot of times it escapes from you. Now, it is our attention, it is your attention, so I pose the question here, the second of the video, who are you giving it to? Now, it's easy to say for the most part that the culprits here would be the news, social media, whether that's Instagram or Twitter, all these things and we could say that they are taking it away. They're snatching it from us like a thief takes money, and it's not our fault, it happens. But that is not good. We cannot put the fault outside of ourselves and say that there's this culprit, because it is our attention. It is your attention, your consciousness, your focus, and you are giving it away to these platforms. Now, I have no doubt that it is these platforms, and it's going to be mostly Instagram, TikTok, or some news, Twitter, things like that. Now, why those specifically? Now, and before even we get to how we get the attention back and all that, I would say that these are the main ones because they really play on the things that generally we like to give our attention to. Very fast-paced, very entertaining, and they play on the emotions that are most engaging to us. Fear, anger, rage, the ones that lead us to want to argue and debate and be proven right. And so it's very easy to get into them. Because obviously, these things, these platforms, these people, they know that. The news know that. The algorithms that are made to scroll know that. And so, of course, they're going to play on it. And what happens here, before we dive into how to change that, we have to understand what is happening. Because when you give your attention away, it really usually happens in one of two ways. So the first one is that all your attention is out here, outwardly. So you're not really aware of what's going on inside of you. And this is what happens. Maybe it's happening as you're watching this video, that you're not, fully aware of yourself. You're just listening to me speak, or when you're watching things on Instagram, you're just watching that, and you're just out here, and there's no real thought to what's going on inside. This is usually when we're talking about here social media, the news, that's where it happens. The other side of this, it's the opposite. It's when you're sort of zoned out and all your focus is inside, and you're just with your negative emotions, with the noise, with the repetitive thought patterns, and you are in a lot of ways in this negative spiral inside of yourself. And so regardless if you're in one or the other, you are not really there. In a lot of ways, it's almost like as when you're dreaming and you're just, all of a sudden you're in this situation where, I don't know, you're skiing downhill, or you're robbing a bank, or you're, flying, whatever it may be, and you're just going along with the situation. Never in a dream, for the most part, do you question it. You're like, I'm skiing downhill. I'm robbing the bank. Give me the money. I'm robbing this bank right now. If I'm flying, I'm like, yeah, I'm spreading my wings and flying. And when you wake up, a lot of times kind of scared and confused, you're grateful because you're like, thank God I wasn't doing that. Thank God I didn't just ruin my life and it was only a dream. And in a dream, it is almost as if, again, you're a character in a movie following the script. So there's really no option for you to ever break free from the script. And we can look at this in a dream and say like, yeah, but it's just a dream. But how often is that real life for you? How often do you feel angry because you saw a TikTok and then you just go along with that? And you just play the character of the angry person, or of the fearful person, or the sad person. You're not in control. Because if you were in control, you'd be able to take a step back and be like, oh, that emotion is happening. I just saw this and that is happening, but I don't have to engage with that. When you're scrolling and you're seeing things about the Epstein files, or the war in Iran, or about some corrupt politician, or you just saw your favorite soccer team lost, it doesn't mean that you need to follow the usual script when these things happen. And here we really get into how one escapes from this. Because, and even before that, before I forget, the main reason why you have to escape this, because we could just say like, why not just do that? Entertain myself for the rest of my life. Yeah, I get upset here and there. I get these things here and there. But what's the problem? The problem is that if you're not aware, if you've not been paying attention, if you anywhere you look, especially artistic, especially where we would usually see the height of human potential, whether that be in art, in movies, even in things as TV shows, as video games, even in things as YouTube videos. And what you're noticing, and even looking outside around you, the architecture, all these things, and what we're seeing is that things are becoming much more uniform. It's like the color scale has diminished and the saturation has went down. And everything is almost the same shade of gray and it mixes together, and it feels like there's a lack of creativity, as things are not original anymore, as if everything is very similar. And the reason for this is, well, it's easy to observe. It's because everywhere you look, everyone is consuming the same things. If I'm in, I don't know, United States, or if I'm in Canada, or if I'm in Colombia, or if I'm in Vietnam, or if I'm in Germany, people are consuming generally the same things because it's the same algorithms. And then it becomes the same fast food chains, and it becomes the same everything. And when everyone consumes the same things and is shaped by very similar things, creativity disappears. And take along with that the fact that rarely do we have time to think our own thoughts and live our own lives because we're so busy scrolling our phones. There's no space for original ideas, for someone to go against the grain, for someone to really break through and be like, I'm going to do my own thing. And that's why when someone does do that, it is refreshing beyond belief. You see, I think her name is Elisa Liu, the, how do you call it, artistic skater from United States, the one that has the iconic hair now. Someone like that it goes completely against the grain and just does their own thing is like, oh my God, finally, thank God. Someone, it's like a light shining in the middle of the darkness. And I do believe we all have the potential for that, because if you think about your life, you're not here to live the life I tell you to live, or your parents, or society, or some guy or another guy on YouTube. You're here to live your life, whatever that means. If it is to become a doctor and follow a script, a path that is very traditional, so be it. If it is to something that's completely opposite, and you're going to be a guy that paints with coffee, so be that. Or if you're going to be a beekeeper, whatever it may be, there is a path for you. But to find that and to do the things that are yours to do and to reach that potential, it cannot be an existence clouded by all of this, by not being aware, by not claiming your attention to yourself. With that said, I think it leads us to the point, the natural point of this video, which is, how then do you claim that attention back? Because we can be here yapping forever about these things that we're giving the attention away, but how do you actually claim it back? And as I see it, obviously there's a lot of methods to this. There's a lot of meditation things one can do. There's a lot of books. There's infinite content on this. But as I see it, the fundamental principle is to be fully aware of what is going on here and what's going on inside at the same time, as much as you can. And I believe that is presence. You're fully aware, so you're not hiding inside and you're not also lost outside. You are in full control, not control, but you're fully aware of both. And this is like those moments you have when perhaps you're talking with someone, you look in their eyes, and all of a sudden it's like you see things with more clarity. It's like there's more focus now. It's almost as if you put glass if you don't see properly, and now you're seeing things with clarity, in HD, sharp, with detail. And I believe if you practice what I'm going to talk about now, you're going to start seeing more of life like that. And things are going to slow down, and you're going to, perhaps for the first time in a long time, claim back this attention and be with yourself and be yourself. To do this, and this is not an original thing I created, perhaps I'll credit correctly, but one of the best ways I found to do this is to combine these two things. Think of a point, and I try to do, like, let's say your nose, and try to think like inside, from the tip of your nose a bit inside. Obviously, think of that point and put your focus in that point. If you're watching the video now, look not at the screen because that makes it harder. As you look in the distance, think of that point. You focus on that point and think about being in between the inside and the outside, fully aware of both. And try as best as you can to bring your attention to it. Ideally, you'd go on a walk, don't bring your phone, go grocery shopping, or just walk outside and try to keep bringing the attention to that point. And what you're going to realize perhaps again, for the first time in a long time, if you do this and you commit to doing it, is that you haven't been in control of your attention. You've just been giving it away to the world. There you go, to my emotions. There you go, take it away. But you're not claiming it for yourself. Because when you do claim it for yourself, you realize how quiet it is, how beautiful things are around you. You're going to start noticing things you haven't noticed ever. Perhaps paths you've walked for years, you're going to notice like, oh, I never noticed that building there, and how those lines, the architecture is like this, or the detail in the rocks of the floor, and how some little leaves start growing in things in a place you wouldn't expect. You're going to be talking with someone, and you're going to realize like, oh my God, I've never really looked at this person, at the eyes of this person. I never really listened to what they're saying. I've always been inside or too much outside, thinking about the perception of them of me. I've never really been there. And what you realize, the more you claim this attention for yourself, and you do things in a lot of ways your own way, uncorrupted by noise, by all of these things, what you're going to realize is that life is phenomenal. And besides that, is that you have so much more potential than what you're using right now, because you've never been quiet. And you've never allowed yourself to actually allow great ideas to come to you, and then to work at them without all this noise. And what you're going to start to find out more and more, and it's difficult because as one does, it's easy to forget, and it's easy to, get lost in thought or in upsetting things that are happening. But you're going to realize, perhaps for the first time in a long while, that you have more control than you believe. And you have more to do, more to create, more path to carve than you've been doing. Because perhaps, likely, you've just been living too safe with all these scripts that are placed upon you. You gotta do this, you gotta do that, I gotta be upset at that, I gotta feel this way, but you don't. Just like you can snap out of a dream, you can snap out of what you're going on right now. So please, wake